Thing that's going on. Let's talk now, though, to Lucy Connelly, the woman who was at the centre of so much over the last couple of years when we talked about free speech, when we talked about crimes, punishments, that sort of thing. Lucy, great to see you. Welcome to the Mike Graham Show. Thank you so much for joining us and taking some time out in the morning, looking lovely in the flowers behind you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Mike.
Yeah, good to see you. We've sort of been in the same places together, but we've never actually met. So welcome to the show. Lots of people very excited to see you here this morning. Tell us how you are, first of all. I mean, obviously, I'm a fan of your Twitter account, which hasn't been taken off you, which is nice to see. You know, you seem to be a woman who's recovered very well from your ordeal and what you went through.
Well, I don't know about recovered, Mike, but you know, life throws us curveballs sometimes, doesn't it? And we can either, you know, be bitter or better, can't we? And I will not let these people beat me and bring me down.
No, a lot of people ask me Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I've got too many, you know, positive things going on in my life for that.
Yeah, exactly right. A lot of people ask me questions and did ask me about this when we said you were coming on, because every now and again you see stories that, you know, Lucy Connelly could be recalled to jail because of something she said. Have you got a sort of set of conditions that you've been given in terms of how you're supposed to behave, what you're supposed to do, and what you're not supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, I do have conditions on my licence. They don't actually relate to anything as such that I can and can't say. It's more based around not being able to attend protests, being around, you know, getting their permission when there's more than 50 people in any one place, and that kind of thing. Social media is not banned for me. You know, I am able to see, I am able to go on social media. So, you know, anyone that thinks I'm breaking my licence conditions with my Twitter account will be wrong.
Right.
You know, but everyone knows everything, don't they, Mike? You know.
Oh, they do. I mean, we get lots of advice on how the studio should look, on, you know, which guests we should have on, you know, whether they're wearing the right clothes. You know, everybody's got advice for you. But that's interesting about the crowd scenario, though. So you're not allowed. So, for example, if you wanted to go to, say, the demonstration at Crowbury yesterday, you wouldn't be allowed to go.
No, well, I probably would, but I don't think they'd sign that off. I'd have to seek the probation's permission. So, for example, I've been to a Pink Ladies one that in London when it was outside Parliament, but I think what they wouldn't want me doing, and I can kind of see their point, is standing outside, you know, a hotel, protesting, that kind of thing. They haven't actually ever declined any of my requests. So anything that I've ever put in to, you know, to go to, they've always signed it off. They've never actually been, oh no, you can't go.
Right. And a few questions popping up there on the screen. How long do the conditions last for? Says Mrs. A. Is that the length of the original sentence or something?
It is. So it's March 2027, unfortunately.
Wow. That's a long way away, isn't it? Crikey.
It is a long way away. But then I guess, you know, we're nearly at the end of January now. It'll soon be March. Then it'll only be a year. So that's the way I look at it. You have to kind of look at it like that. It is annoying. You know, I do feel that, you know, the amount of times that I have to check into probation and the way I'm managed under MAPA is excessive. I do think it is.
Right.
You know, paedophiles and rapists are getting less management than the likes of me.
Yeah.
But it is. You know,
I'm going to ask you about that in a minute. So what do you have to do physically? Do you have to report somewhere once a week or once a month or something like that?
Yeah, every week I have to go into probation. I mean, really, once a week by this point, again, it is quite a lot. People may be down to like fortnightly or monthly by now, but no, I'm still on weekly, 5 months down the line, which it's annoying. It is annoying, but you know, you just have to play the game and do what they tell you, really.
And if you're able to tell me, I mean, what happens when you go to see the probation people? Do you have to sit waiting for a while? Do you go straight in to see someone? What do they ask you?
Yeah, generally they don't keep me waiting, actually. They're quite good. And actually, there's a lovely lady that works there behind reception, this little Scottish lady, and she likes me. And they can be very often kicking off in probation. You know, you've got a lot of kind of like men, like, you know, young men or, you know, they'll very often be kicking off in there about how they've had to wait or they don't like something. So she'll take me off, come through, Lucy, come through, come and sit in this room out of the way. Because I think she thinks that, you know, I might be a bit, I mean, I'm not, but I think she thinks they might be a bit intimidated by it all.
Right.
So
Well, this is the
generally, they're all
thing.
right to me.
But this is the thing, the idea that you're this sort of, some kind of master criminal, is so ridiculous, isn't it? That you have this kind of thing that's going to follow you around. Hopefully not for the rest of your life, but I mean, it really is ridiculous what happens to you. And I know that you've spoken about this before, and you've said that you were sorry and all of that. But I mean, you can see from the messages that are coming up, people calling you a hero, people are saying it's ridiculous what happened to you. And I think, generally speaking, most like-minded people would say, that you were badly treated.
And the thing is, Mike, how many times can one person apologise? I apologised at the time. I took the tweet down of my own accord without anyone telling me to once I'd calmed down. I've always accepted that it was the wrong thing to say. I've always accepted it wasn't my finest moment. I've apologised till I'm blue in the face. I'm not apologising anymore.
No,
I
good.
did my time. This is what people fail to understand. I did 12.4 months in prison, and I'm now on probation for the next, 12 point whatever. I've done my time. I paid the price for what, for some words that I wrote, higher a price than, what people raping children and such like do. So I'm not apologising anymore. I've said I'm sorry. I could give some people a kidney and it still wouldn't be enough. So I'm just getting on with my life now, and I'm hoping that I'm able to make some positive change with the voice that I now have found myself with.
Yes, and I think you have, because already, I mean, I've seen interviews that you've done before where you've talked about what life was like inside prison, and you've been quite vocal about how terrible it is for an awful lot of women in particular who are in prison for no good reason, really. And women seem to be disproportionately locked up for crimes which both you and I would probably agree are not, dangerous crimes.
No, I mean, the population of women in prison is growing exponentially. And I think we do need to look at why is that number growing so high? Why are our prisons absolutely full to the rafters with both females and males? I think it's too easy to lock people up. I think that they go for the low-lying fruit sometimes, as opposed to what you and I might call a real criminal. Because it's easy pickings.
Yeah.
And I do think there needs to be serious questions as to why the female prison population is rising so much.
Yes, exactly right. And you found an awful lot of sort of fellow sufferers, if you like, didn't you? A lot of women who really didn't need to be there and who probably didn't understand why they were there.
1,000,000%. One of the first people I met was like living next door to me, if you like, was a lady. She was homeless. She did take drugs. She'd got no family. She'd grown up in care, and she was one of the many people that are constantly in out. They get let out. They're back in again 3 weeks later. Now, if you've never been to prison and you've never seen the system, you would just assume that she just never learnt a lesson. She's just, not of good character, So not true. This poor woman was in a situation where her life was better in prison than it was out on the streets. She got a bed, it was warm, she had 3 square meals a day, she didn't have to worry about where her next meal was coming from. And she's just on a vicious circle. She will never get out of that circle because there's no help for her. And how sad that somebody's life is better in prison than out of prison.
Right. And that is a problem, I think, in the sector as well, because a lot of male men, as you say, who have real struggles outside and who might be homeless at times, whatever, they feel as if the prison system protects them more. But I guess the problem for male prisons is that there's an awful lot more violence, isn't there, than there is, I suppose, in the female prisons.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't speak for. I've only had experience of the female side, and I think from what I've heard and what I know, they're two different worlds. There is a lot more violence over on the male side. I mean, Peterborough, where I did most of my sentence, is actually the only prison in the UK now with both a female and a male side. And very often we'd get locked down because all officers were needed over at male side because they were kicking off and having some kind of ruck. So then it would be like ladies behind your doors, and then all the officers would have to go running over to male side to break up fights and such like. But again, I'm a massive believer of, and having spent time in the system, if you treat people like animals, they will behave like animals.
Yeah.
I don't think that, the people that say we're not hard enough on criminals, we're not hard enough on people in jail, you need to go into that system and you need to understand how most of these people have ended up in there in the first place.
Yeah.
And it isn't punishment that they need, it's help. And then, if you think that housing somebody in prison for a year costs the taxpayer £55,000 a year minimum, would it cost £55,000 for the government to house these people, to put them on drug rehabilitation programs, to find them work, to find them education? I don't think it would. It's just an easy option, isn't it? It's just an easy option to throw people in jail because then they're not your problem anymore.
Yeah, I think that's right. And obviously, a lot of people that I speak to who have worked in prisons, and particularly in male prisons, they say that over the course of the last several years, they've just denuded the force of prison guards so much that there's now, fewer and fewer guards for more and more actual inmates, and so it's much more difficult to control the whole thing.
Definitely. And every time they mention that we're going to build new prisons and we're having X amount of new prison spaces, I just laugh and I say, and how are you staffing these prisons? You can't staff the ones you've got. I remember when I was at Drake Hall, which is in Staffordshire, and over a weekend we were having officers come from Wandsworth in London, and they were paying these officers mega money and putting them up in hotels to come and cover prisons up north. There aren't enough prison staff in the system. It's not a job that everybody wants to do. I actually think it can be quite a nice job, actually. It's not as awful as you might think. But the fact is there aren't enough officers, so that means that there is no rehabilitation. People are locked down way more than they should be. People aren't getting the help that they should, because in fairness, they're just keeping the peace and making sure everyone's getting fed and watered, and that's all they have time to do a lot of the time.
Sure.
They have time constraints, they have budget constraints. I'm not suggesting that the prison system has it easy in the sense that they've got everything they need as well, because they don't have all the tools they need to rehabilitate people. They don't have all the tools they need to just make sure everybody gets enough exercise a day, that everyone's out of their cell enough a day. And like I said, treat people like animals, they're going to behave like animals.
Yeah, exactly right. The story this morning in the Sun that I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned that people that commit sex crimes don't get put in prison, not only for the length of time that you did, but sometimes even at all. And story today saying 13,000 paedophiles who hoarded child abuse images, just like Hugh Edwards and David Coote, have avoided jail in the past 5 years. Only 2,910 out of 15,867 child sex offenders convicted since 2020 were sent to prison, a lockup rate of 18%. And it says, going back to 2004, 52% of those people would have been locked up. So something's gone terribly wrong with the sentencing structure in this country, isn't it?
Definitely. Why, as a mother, would I rather my child saw hurty words on the internet, or would I rather there was some indecent image circulating the internet of them and on people's phones and etc.? Because I know hands down which one I'd choose. I don't know what's gone so horribly wrong in this country where we're so lenient on people that target children.
Yeah.
Why are children in our country just not priority? Why are they put? It just feels like they're put to the bottom of the pile all the time. It doesn't matter if some crazy person wants to go and stab them in a dance school. It doesn't matter if somebody like Hugh Edwards, who has the nation's trust before this happened, somebody like him. It doesn't matter if he's got loads of indecent images on this, because it's only children. They don't matter. Right.
I know, it's absolutely shocking. And I mean, it clearly shows that there's a different attitude. And I mean, I wanted to ask you about this as well. That people always say, who are not on your side. Oh, well, she pleaded guilty. Well, yeah, but you pleaded guilty because you were told to plead guilty, because you were advised that that would help your case when you were basically stitched up by the CPS.
And it's just not that simple. I remember the very first time I spoke to the solicitor that was, he attended the magistrate's court on the Saturday morning. So obviously I'd been locked up since the Friday evening, and I'd been charged quite late Friday evening,
Right.
and told I wasn't going to be remanded and I would appear in front of a magistrate's court. Now, I spoke to this solicitor that was part of the same firm that I used all the way through, and he was like, well, it was just a given that I was going to plead guilty. And I remember thinking at the time, really? And I said, well, I'm willing to say that I wrote the tweet. Of course I did. And that, it wasn't the right thing to do. And I was sorry, but I'm not, it wasn't my intention to do any of the other stuff that they suggested I did.
Right.
But then I was sold this line of, well, we've had this, our client was also Tyler Kay. He happened to share your tweet. He did the same thing as you. He went down the route of a Newton's hearing, and he lost all his credit, and he just got 37 months. So if you want to do that, that's what's going to happen to you. You'll lose all your credit, you will get found guilty, and you are going to serve a hefty jail sentence. And I was thinking at the time, what?
Sounds mad, doesn't it?
It does. It is mad. And then, of course, if it's made quite clear to you from the beginning, of which it was by the judge. Judge Crane said to me at Northampton Crown Court, she wasn't even the one sentencing me. At this point, she'd got none of the mitigating circumstances or anything like that. She told me I will be serving a hefty, I think her words was, a lengthy custodial sentence, but it's down to the judge in Birmingham as to how long that will be. They'd already made it quite clear that I was serving a custodial sentence and I wasn't getting out of jail anytime soon. So as a mother, what would you do? Would you go down the route of thinking to yourself, well, I'm going down whatever, so now it's damage limitations and I need to get back to my child as quick as I can?
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking at the time. If I had my time again, would I change anything? I don't know, because I know that lots of people have, a few people have gone to trial and they've been found not guilty. You've got Jamie Michael, people like that, that walked. But if I hadn't, I would have got an even longer sentence. And how long would I have sat in remand for? There's a good chance that I would still be sat there now.
Yeah. And that's the trouble, because you're not an expert in the law. At that point, you've never been in that situation before. You're relying on people who are hopefully got your best interests at heart advising you. But my firm belief is that you were not being given advice by people who had your best interests at heart. You were being advised by what was then the sort of political machine being run from Downing Street, even though they deny it to this day. I've got no doubt that was entirely down to Keir Starmer and his kind of, far-right thuggery stuff. And he said, we want to lock all these people up.
Oh, well, he said that, didn't he? He openly said that. Anybody, either online or in person, will be paying. We will remand you and you will be paying the price for this. He quite clearly said that. There's no debating that.
No.
Everything that happened to me, both at the time of sentencing and court and throughout my whole prison sentence, you will never forgive me. You will never convince me even that it was not coming from above. The rules just weren't followed with me. Rottles, release on temporary licence, the things that, it just became a standing joke in prison. Everybody can have it but Lucy, that's how it became. That's how it felt. Like the rules were different for me. And I actually don't think that was the governors of the prison. I just think that they were being told from, the hierarchy above what they were allowed and not allowed to do with me.
Yeah, exactly right. And how is your daughter and how is the family now after all this?
Yeah, they're good. She's good. She's got school today. So.
Yeah. And life goes on, right?
It does, absolutely. And as I said before, like, this was awful what happened to me, and worse for my family, definitely. But we've been through worse. You know, we lost our son, and that's the most horrific thing that any parent can go through. And if you can come out the other side of that, I think you can get through anything.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of people are asking a couple of questions before I let you go. Could you stand for Parliament now, or does your sentence make that impossible?
I don't know. There's mixed information about that. So I thought I couldn't because I got a sentence over 2 years.
Right.
But then a solicitor I know has been doing some digging, and he sent me some information the other day, and he seems to think that I can. So before
Okay.
I was, I really do need to find out where the law lies.
Yes.
You know, where the line lies with that one.
Because you have got ambitions in that direction, do you think?
I mean, I'm not sure about kind of MP level, but I would love to work. I mean, I am absolutely convinced, and I really hope that reform get in under the next government. I think if they don't, we're all screwed. And I'd really like to, work alongside them and help try and make a difference, and with the prison system and the judiciary, and getting people the help that they need.
Sure.
And
Well,
giving these women a voice.
An awful lot of love for you on this show. All the audience comments are amazing. So go back and have a look at them if you want. But they're all very much in praise of you, calling you a hero, saying what a wonderful woman you are, and you always come across so well. Whenever I've seen you interviewed, and the same today. So thank you so much, Lucy, for taking the time to talk to us. And anything we can do, just let us know.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Great to see you, Lucy Connelly. What a woman. Imagine having to go through all of that with a young family. Her husband wasn't well, and yet she still is able to smile, and a lovely smile as well that she has there. Listen, that's been quite an extraordinary show, I think. First show of the week, the first one as well that runs 2.5 hours, all the way to 9:30. Before we let you go, I've got to repeat plank of the day because it's very important. Check this out.
Hello, it's plank of the day time.
And the plank of the day today, which some of you might not know about, is the Forestry Commission. It's a government department which runs all of the forests in this country, including one particular forest, which is called Battle Great Wood. It's down in Sussex. It's where I like to take my dog Ziggy, and it's where he likes to go every single day. But unfortunately, something has happened, and I had to break the news to him like this yesterday. Ziggy, I know it's a big week for you this week, because it's your birthday week. You're going to be 12, aren't you? And we were going to have a big party in the woods with all your friends, like we always do. But this year, I've got some bad news, Ziggy, because it looks as though they've decided to put a tax on the woods, and the nasty people in the government don't want you to have a good birthday. They don't want you to see your friends in the woods, because they've decided to start charging people to park at the woods. So they've now put a tax on the air in the woods. They've put a tax on dogs going to the woods. They've put a tax on you going to the woods. So we're going to have to find something else to do on your birthday. And I'm afraid it's the fault of the Forestry Commission, which is a government organisation who are trying to stop you from having fun on your 12th birthday. But don't worry, we're going to find something else nice to do. But we won't be able to go to your favourite woods anymore. I'm so sorry, Ziggy. Ziggy, possibly one of the most beautiful dogs that's ever lived, right? He wasn't happy when I told him the news because the Forestry Commission, right, which runs something called Forestry England, which is a kind of quango, full of people, by the way, getting paid bucket loads of money to do not very much, apart from looking after a few trees and supposedly doing the husbandry around all of the woods in this country, right? The Forestry Commission's annual report proves that they have so much money, and yet what they've done at Battle Great Wood, which has been a place where Ziggy has gone for all of his 12 years since he was a puppy for a walk every single day, they've decided that the car park should no longer be free. They've decided to put some bollards up. In fact, we might take some pictures and put those up as well. They've decided to put camera recognition on the car park. So if you drive into it now, it will recognise your number plate. And if you don't pay to park there, they will basically fine you £100. Unbelievable, right? What I also found out with staff costs have doubled in the Forestry Commission over the past 5 years. They used to be 26 million a year. They're now 56.4 million pounds a year. That's your money that they're spending. What on earth is going on? Also, their operating expenditure has gone up by threefold during the past 5 years. It used to be 47.2 million. It's now 151 million pounds of your money. In addition to that, after they get the money going into Forestry England, it goes into yet another charity, which is called the Woodland Trust. So who's getting this money? And why are they taxing dogs? Why are they taxing Labradors? And people with horses have been told, you can't bring your horse box there anymore. You're not allowed to walk your horse in the woods, which is designed for horses. It's absolutely staggering, absolutely shocking, absolutely disgraceful. Should we do a couple of quick super chats before the end? Looking great, Mike. Your live stream count is rocking, says what looks like Sheridan. The super chat has been great today. The comments have been fantastic today. We've had a few incidents with some spammers as well on the YouTube feed. There's obviously all manner of people trying to stop us from being successful. But don't worry. Apparently, if you join Forestry England, you can park for free at their woods. Yes, it costs £96 a year, but that's less than £2 a week, says Amanda. Yeah, but it was free. So why would you pay £2 a week for something that used to be free? And do you know what their excuse is for making the parking cost money? They say that there is a bin which people deposit the dog mess in and it costs them money to empty it. That's their excuse. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. It's Ziggy's birthday this week and we are on the rampage. I kid you not. He's looking for some new woods to walk in where he doesn't have to pay to park. Quite frankly, it's a disgrace. A tax on Labradors? Whatever next. We'll be back, of course, with loads more tomorrow morning from 7 a.m. The Mike Graham Show will go from strength to strength. You'll have another 2.5 hour show tomorrow. And there'll be loads more stuff on the Substack as well. After shows, all manner of recipes, little videos from me as well. Have a fantastic day. And remember, no matter how much of it there is going on out there, and there's an awful lot of it, don't be a plank.
Remember, despite all of the others out there, it's always the others. Don't be a plank.